You know what I like the most about a good smoked, tender brisket? You know what I like the most about a tender, perfectly smoked brisket?
What?
I like chewing the fat.
Welcome to another Chewing the Fat with Almost and
Krusty! Sorry, he makes me do this and I hate it. Ever since when I first met him.
Well, go away then. Chewing the Fat.
Chewing the fat.
So, chewing the fat is more than just having a fat gut, but, you know, I watch these outdoor channels and the fat is like the gold. It's like the prime cut.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have fat, you can't digest and get all the rest of the nutrients.
No. If you don't have the fat, you don't have the flavor. The flavor's in the fat. Yeah, have you ever had a good smoked brisket with a good fat cap? That was my nickname in college, Fat Cap.
Today we're going to talk about the top 5 backpacking trails that we want to go to.
The wish list of sorts of trails. A lot of trails out there. And we keep learning about new trails because there's so many more new backpacking YouTube channels out there. And there's always new trails to discover. Even in our home state, there's new ones, let alone the whole world. So which 5 are on your wish list?
Okay, we put the cart before the horse.
Yep. If you watched the last episode of Chewing the Fat,
I test beer right here.
we got the same high test beers, but these are tall boys. Double the fun, double the play.
Isn't that a gum?
Yep.
All right, my number 5 trail. My top 5
Your number 5 trail.
is the Tahoe Rim Trail.
Really?
It's located in California and Nevada. Lake Tahoe. It's a loop. It's 165 miles.
Okay.
Lot of mountain views of Lake Tahoe.
I can see that.
Big trees. One of the things that I looked at for my trails that I kind of things that I looked at is because there's so many trails that you want to do, right? I have 2 kids in college right now, and I have a third one probably maybe going into college next year.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be broke for like the next 5 or 6 years.
Get a job.
So I can't go to like Patagonia or some of these places in Europe. So my 5 trails are all within the continental United States and can be done somewhat on a budget.
Okay. Mine are kind of all over the place. I don't have a family, so I'm really lonely. But all my time is my own and all my money is my own, even though there's not a lot of either one.
Okay. So have you ever looked at the Tahoe Rim Trail?
I haven't. But I mean, Lake Tahoe, that's not part of the Sierra, is it? No.
You're testing me. It's just south of there. I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It might be in there, but
All right. The Tahoe Rim Trail. Okay.
I've heard it's a lot like Colorado.
Okay. All right.
So, but someone said it was better.
I don't know much about it, but it's funny that you're talking about a Tahoe Rim Trail because my number 5 is the Grand Canyon, rim to rim to rim. Mm-hmm. Do you know why you have to go rim to rim to rim?
No, Rob, tell me.
It's roughly 21 to 24 miles depending on the trailhead to go across. But if you were to go around, like to park a car, it's like 330 miles. So that's why you got to go to rim and then back to rim so you can basically get to your car.
So if you were to look for a shuttle that had to drive 300 miles, it might be expensive.
Not a chance. You may as well take an airplane, or try to Evel Knievel that some bitch across.
So, I've heard it's 24 miles. So basically, it's the Grand Canyon.
It's the Grand Canyon, yep. So you're looking at, depending on what trailhead, 48 to 5,700 feet of elevation.
So you're going down and then back up. And then you get there and you got to go back the way that you came. It's out and back.
Yes, but there are a couple of different trails that you can take. There's like, the Bright Angel and, there's a bunch of different ones.
One's steeper than the other one, I've heard.
Correct. But my plan would be to camp on the bottom at Phantom Ranch. It's a very popular spot. You have to kind of get your reservations in early. They actually have like a lodge there where you can stay, or they have campgrounds as well. But down there they have rivers and lakes and waterfalls. It's like a little oasis down on the bottom of the Grand Canyon. You know, I mean, it takes, I want to say like 2 hours to get there.
Do they have Coors Light at the bottom?
Oh, I'm sure. Everything that's down there is brought in by mule. Like there's no roads going through there. That's why like a beer like this would probably cost like $7 or something like that.
Chuck's coming?
Oh, maybe.
The mule?
The mule. But they pack everything by mule train. That's how they get all their goods and services and mail.
Interestingly enough, you're supposed to send a postcard when you're down in the bottom there, and they stamp it that it was packed out by mule.
That's right.
So when you get it at home.
That's right. It's the only place that's mail delivered by horseback anymore in the United States.
So one of the interesting things about rim to rim to rim is it's really hot down in the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and up on the top, it's like completely different weather.
Yep.
So, you know, in the summer, right now they're not even letting you go down in there.
No, it's like you're walking into an oven.
And, you know, I actually watched a video where guys did it in the winter with snowshoes on.
Yeah, it can get really, really cold in the winter, yeah.
So, yeah, we should go do that one.
We should do that one. It's a total of 12 to a 14-hour hike, but you got all that elevation gain. That's why you camp halfway. I would make it like a 4-day trip. Camp halfway, go up the side, come back down, camp, and then go back out. I mean, why not? Well, whatever. It's just time and money, right?
Yeah. So my number 4 trail is the Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, be darned. Look at that. Great minds are both stupid.
When are we going to go?
Soonish.
So I just looked. If we put in a permit, so all these places you have to get a permit, and permits are kind of hard to get.
Yeah. They do have first come, first serve permits, but that's tough.
October is the most popular time to go, so it's the hardest time. But if we put in a permit here, like within the next week, permit application, we could go in November.
That may be doable.
We'll talk.
We'll chat.
Offline.
Wow, rim to rim to rim to rim to rim to rim. Dig it. That's your number 4.
That's my number 4.
What's my number 4?
I don't know. Tell me, Rob.
Well, speaking of Washington, the Pacific Northwest, there is a mountain over there called Mount Rainier. No, I'm not looking to go on top of Mount Rainier. There's a trail that goes around it called the Wonderland Trail. It's 93 miles. I've never hiked in the Pacific Northwest. Mount Rainier is always, in your view. That trail just sounds awesome. Because like I said, it's Pacific Northwest. It's 93 miles, so not crazy. And it's right there in, where Mount Rainier is. So Wonderland Trail.
It's a 93-mile loop.
Correct. 93-mile loop.
And are you ready for this, Rob? Mr. I don't really like climbing up hills in the sun. 23,000 feet of elevation gain on that trail.
Yep. No problem. Ultra lightweight on this one. Yep. Yeah, I was aware of that. Yep. That's why I would just do it a little slower than some.
Are there places to bail out?
That I do not know. I never plan on bailing out. Never. I mean, I do.
Really?
But I never plan on it.
I plan for a bailout on every trip, just in case.
Yeah.
See, you're a lot more. You can improv a lot better than me off the cuff. Like, yeah, I think don't think I'm going to hike anymore. I'll catch a ride. I'm like, I've never hitchhiked in my life. So.
Yeah, I don't care. Yep, don't bother me.
All right, so what number are we on?
3.
My third is how do you say it? The Uinta Highline Trail in Utah.
Highlines in Utah.
So we talked about Amy Route.
Devin and Amy's backyard.
In our last video. And there's a new documentary, which I'm probably going to actually watch tonight, called Highline.
I've heard of this, yes.
I've listened to some podcasts where they're talking about it, and the producer of it was on there. But it's a 2-hour documentary on the Highline, and it has Redbeard and
Very cool.
a few other guys that you've probably heard of. But Uinta Trail, 104 miles. It's in Utah. There's alpine tundra, rocky passes. sub-alpine forests. But it's like I said, it's the rocks out there are just amazing. But one of the worries that I have is there's only one resupply on 110 miles.
Oof. Okay.
And there's very limited water sources. Like they might be 20 miles apart.
What's not to love?
So you're going to have to camel up. And I've heard in this movie that they had to drink water out of basically a puddle that cows were crapping in.
Ooh, that's brutal.
So
you better hope that that Sawyer is working.
Well, Sawyer ain't going to take the taste out. So in this podcast I listened to, it's like these guys, they're drinking shit water, but they had to force themselves to drink it.
Yeah, you have to.
But they kept on gagging and trying to keep it down.
I would
You ready to go on that trail with me, buddy?
Man, I don't know. So a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. What's a gallon of vodka weigh?
After like the first 5 ounces, you don't care how much it weighs.
I can see how that would be. That's a very physical and a mental challenge up there. But if you can make it through it, I bet what you see is just unmatched. I bet it's just amazing what you would see out there. So I would do something like that. But like you said, yeah, you'd really have to be careful on your resupplies. Be very careful on your water. You'd have to carry. Man, is there a rainy season or?
I don't know, but I mean there are some creeks, but later in the season they're dried up.
They're dried up.
And in this movie Highline, it's all these like real seasoned backpackers on it, and they were struggling.
Really,
so,
man.
I'm sure we wouldn't have a problem at all.
But they're no Midwest Minnesota hikers. Let's relax.
That's no Superior hiking trail, now, is it? Water's hard to find there. All right, what do you got?
Number 3. I spent some time in Nepal a few years ago. I was there for almost 3 months, and I did all kinds of treks when I was there. I hit just about all the mountain ranges except for Mount Everest. Now, I'm not looking to summit Mount Everest. I want to trek to the Everest base camp. I just kind of ran out of time and I ran out of money while I was over there, so I've always wanted to do it. Now it's not very long. It's in total it's probably about a 10-day trip, give or take. But it takes like a whole day to get there. Time zones, I think they're in the future right now, but it's only about.
Wait a minute, they're in the future.
They're in the future. They're like 12 hours ahead of us right now. Yeah, I know.
Like J Fox.
Ooh, that's right. It's only about like 80 miles, 130 kilometers. So not far, but I mean you're climbing up to Everest at the base camp.
Haven't I read though it takes like 2 weeks?
It can take up to 2 weeks. Most people I know have done it in about 10 days, 10, 11 days. You just have to be very careful of your altitude and that kind of stuff, because altitude sickness is a very real thing while you're up there.
Is that the one that our friend John Kelly went on?
John Kelly he did Kilimanjaro.
Okay.
That's on my list too, but not on this list today.
Where they don't let you go fast. Like
correct. Yep. You have to acclimate. But I experienced nothing while I was over there, and I got really high in some of those peaks, and I was completely fine. So
we don't condone drug usage here. What about you were really high?
I was really high. There was weed growing all over the mountains.
Is it legal there?
No, very, very illegal. Plus, it's all like ditchweed anyway. Like you don't want it. So whatever. Yeah. So Everest Base Camp Trail. And by the way, if there's any trails that are on your wish list, let us know down in the comments below. We would love to hear about new trails and something that you're looking forward to, because maybe we'll take a peek at it too.
And the reason why I had the idea for doing this video is, frankly, I'm looking for new trails to hike on. Where, honestly, I've been on the Superior Hiking Trail like 4 times within the last 6 weeks, and
I get it.
And we've went down to Ozark Highland, and I've been on the Colorado Trail, but
they're kind of all the same, though. They kind of are.
How so? You walk?
No. The trails are very the same, and I would say the AT would be very similar too. You got the green tunnel, you got the streams, you got the little waterfalls. You're not out in Utah or Arizona. That's a different landscape that we have very limited experience in. Up in the mountains, very little experience in.
These mountains?
These mountains right here. These Midwestern ones. So. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at my list, actually all of my trails are in Western America, Western United States.
Western America. All right, West
So-
America. Yeah, that makes sense, and I know why, because
It's different.
it's different.
You know, I absolutely have no interest in hiking the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
Sorry, people.
Green Tunnel.
Yeah, Green Tunnel, very similar to Spear Hiking Trail.
Yeah, exactly. People have even who have hiked the Appalachian Trail have hiked the Superior Hiking Trail, and it was
I heard the Smokies are nice,
it
but
was surprisingly challenging.
I mean, I'd rather go in the mountains of Colorado or out west.
Yeah, the big,
Mount Rainier.
grand open views. Exactly.
But you know what I'm going to have to do now that I have all these trails that I want to do in the mountains? I'm going to have to buy a tent.
I just bought a tent. Not gonna tell
You haven't returned it yet, have you?
No, I haven't even opened up the box yet. I have a video on that coming. Number 2.
Number 2. My number 2 is also the Wonderland Trail.
Wow, it's eerie.
So we're going to have to do rim to rim and the Wonderland Trail. Both, you have to have permits that are hard to get.
Correct.
So maybe we just apply for all the permits, and whichever one we get, we go.
Yeah, possibly. You know,
So-
we're in a position where we've done a lot of backpacking, and our gear systems are pretty dialed in, with a couple of exceptions for camping out west. But yeah, I'd like to put some of our systems in practice in a completely different environment.
So are you thinking the whole 93 miles?
Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point?
You can take the shortcut and go over the mountain.
I mean, if I get tired, I could always hitch a ride out.
That's true. Which reminds me, maybe I'll drive on this one. No, you should drive, so then you can go back to your car to come pick me up.
Perfect.
That never happens, does it?
Okay. All right. So, all right. Good to know. That's funny that we share that. All right. My number 2. So, you're number 2. Okay. My number 2 is the Inca Trail. It's the one in Peru that leads to Machu Picchu. Very heavy touristy route. It's 26 miles. I mean, obviously, you're up in the mountains. It was a trip I was supposed to go on this coming fall, but it got canceled due to the COVID and everything like that. But it's always something I wanted to do. I'm supposed to go with my stepmother. She's getting to a place where she's not going to be able to do these kinds of things for very long. So we were supposed to do the trip together. So we're hoping to do it in 2021. Because Machu Picchu is just amazing. Old civilization, in Peru, just in general. Just another amazing place that I would love to go. So only 26 miles, but the cool part is you don't carry anything. You're required to use a guide and porters and everything. So the only thing that you have to carry is a day pack, like a 30, 40 liter pack, and have your rain gear, snacks, whatever you want. But you don't need a tent, sleeping pad, sleeping bag, trekking poles, just your clothing, good pair of shoes. That's all you need to carry during the day.
So how long would it take?
It's 4 days.
4 days?
4 days. 26 miles, 4 days. That seems crazy, right? But
When I was researching, a lot of these European and South America trails, they have these tea houses.
yes, just like Nepal. Yep.
So that'd be kind of nice to not have to carry a tent and a sleeping bag and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, I carried my sleeping bag in Nepal. It was a 30 degree because they supplied beds, but there were no linen. There were no blankets. So sleeping bag, and plus, you're protecting your sleeping bag. You don't want critters. Who knows what kind of critters are out there. But the food, the culture in Peru is just amazing. I'm going to come back with one of those cool alpaca hats. Going to be that guy.
Okay.
That's number 2.
My number 1, Chewin the Fat. John Muir Trail.
The John Muir. Amy Rout just got a permit down the John Muir.
There are a few gals that watch my channel that we've run into at a couple state parks.
That's right, and they recognized him. He's a big deal.
But I'm Facebook friends with them now, and they were supposed to be going here in July, so about now, and they're kind of wondering if they still could with COVID. But
I wonder what the update is.
a couple years ago, I think I filled out an application to go on John Muir Trail. I looked it up and looked at the application, but obviously I didn't go. But it's super hard to get a permit to go in there. There are some tricks to get around it, but really I want to be able to hike all 210 miles.
Of course.
And if we didn't mention, it's in Northern California.
It's part of the PCT.
Yeah, it is. Well, a couple of these are part of the PCT. Isn't, what's the one up in Washington around Rainier? Is that part of PCT?
Wonderland? I don't know.
Or Tahoe Rim, I think, is part of it.
That might be. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, Yosemite Valley to Mount Whitney. Mount Whitney, tallest peak in the United States. Yep. So some awesome views. It'd take a little bit of training because there's a lot of mountains and bears.
A lot of bears.
So, yeah, but we'd have to get a bear
canister.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so that's my number one.
I like it.
And another one with that is there's a stretch of it where you can't resupply for 11 days.
Oh. Ooh, that's brutal.
So,
man, that's a lot of ramen.
It's towards the end, though. So you just go on. Ramen for breakfast.
Hey, it's
ramen
light.
For dinner.
You just need the calories.
Green bellies.
That's right. That's right.
What do you got for number one?
Number one, we are heading across the pond to Scotland. I would like to do the West Highland Way. Another touristy kind of route. A lot of people bike pack it as well. It's a 96-mile trail. You go through, the Highlands, and the moors. You can camp anywhere along the way, mostly in tents. There's not many trees, up in the Highlands. The cool part is every day you pass through at least one town. So if you want to hop off trail, you can stay at a bed and breakfast. But even more important is you could stop and have a pint.
Making me thirsty.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it starts in Milngavie, I think that's how you pronounce it, 96 miles, and it ends at Fort William. Now, the very cool part about that is you can take an extra day, and just near Fort William is the mountain of Ben Nevis, which is the highest peak in the UK. So you can take one extra day, scale the hill, chill up there for a little while, come back down, and now you've been to the highest peak in the UK. It's just one more day, and it's not even very strenuous. But yeah, the West Highland Way. Scottish. You have to go in a pretty specific time of the year to escape the midges. The midges can be brutal. And if you don't know what midges are, they're like the little gnats that can draw blood.
Fun.
Yeah, very fun. So springtime or late fall is going to be your best times, but also known to be very, very temperamental as far as weather. It can be clear and sunny and then torrential downpour a second later. So you have to be ready for those trail conditions.
Now, do you need a permit there? And are they hard to get?
No. Nope. You show up and start walking. That's why it's so popular. It's one of the premier trails in the UK.
So I think you already asked people if they have ideas for trails. Put it down in the description below. Yeah, because we're always looking for good trails. I kind of want ones in the States, Rob, wherever. But there's some pretty cool trails outside of the United States that I really want to go to, but cool. It'll be probably 10 years down the road when I probably can't walk anymore.
What's your number one out of the country trail? Like you're like, man.
I don't know. Some of those European, even like what was that one that Chuck was just on in Ireland?
The one in Ireland, I forgot what it's called, but that one looked amazing.
The one I was just looking at last night is Patagonia down in Chile. And man, the video I was watching, the plane going into the place, that was the most frightening part of the whole trip. I mean, it looked like one of those movies where the alarm's going off and everybody's, ah!
Well, that's the one draw or the opposite of the Everest Base Camp Trail. You can fly into Lukla, which is the most dangerous airport in the world because the runway is like this. You're landing on the side of a mountain. Yeah, there's plane crashes all the time. It's awesome.
All right. Trails I do not want to go to. Check.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, there's just so many. Any suggestions you got? Any dream trails that are on your list? Let us know. We'd love to hear them.
I also have one more request. If you have any ideas for topics you'd like to see us chew the fat about, put that down below and maybe we'll talk about it in the future.
Yeah, and if you hate us, let us know as well.
Especially. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming, buddy.
For sure. We'll see you on the next one. Ooh, I think I got a booty call.